Hi, Ann Walker here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about myself and why I think I'm a great fit for the communications lead role. You asked me to tell you why I was interested in the role, and I think I can sum it up in one word: challenge. I love a challenge. There's so many challenges in this role. There's the challenge of working with multiple stakeholders. There's the challenge of working with a complicated issue, and there's the challenge of learning a new industry. And on the other hand, I also have a personal reason. I'm looking for a new change, a fresh start, and I can't think of a better place than beautiful British Columbia. What I bring to the table is energy, creativity, and enthusiasm. And having spent almost my whole professional career in the not-for-profit, sometimes that's all I had to work with when given a job to do. My management philosophy is the same as how I like to be managed. I'd like to give my teams the information that they need to do their jobs. I give them an open door if there's a problem or an issue that needs to be raised, and I let them do what they are hired to do. With the teams that I've worked with, we've dealt with multiple impossible deadlines and with limited resources to work with, and so we often had weekly or daily meetings, depending on the project, to discuss issues, to work out problems, and I like to do it because it also is a great opportunity to build morale, which was sometimes a problem with these projects that we were dealing with. You asked for a few examples of some of my work. I'd like to talk to you about how I introduced two new CEOs to two different organizations. Each had its own challenges and own opportunities. The challenge for the CEO at the Financial Advisors Association was he was not only new to the organization, but he was new to the industry. The challenge for the CEO at the CFIB was that, true, he wasn't new to the organization. He had been there for more than 20 years, but his predecessor, his name had been so linked to the CFIB brand that it was about raising awareness of him in his new role. Each new CEO introduction required a comprehensive external and internal communications plan. And it meant identifying priority stakeholders, priority communications channels in which to communicate the new CEO's visions for the organization. I brought the right people together at the right time, and as a result, the CEO's visions for the organization were shared through appropriate channels, through the media, through town hall meetings, through one-on-one meetings with priority stakeholders. I pitched media interviews to key media outlets, wrote speeches, did op-eds for trade papers, anything that required getting their vision out, and that's what happened. The other one that I wanted to talk to you about happened a few years ago, but I think it's really indicative of the work that I can do and my tenacity. The problem was that the insurance companies' CEOs came to their trade association saying that they were experiencing fraud and they wanted something done about it. There was no measurement of the amount of fraud. There was no real information about what kind of fraud was happening in the industry. So the solution was the creation of the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud. I was in at the ground floor. I was the only full-time employee of the organization, and our mandate was to raise awareness of the cost and consequences of insurance fraud and bring in real tools for stakeholders to address the issue. Over the years that I was at the Fraud Coalition, the media messages were always relayed accurately by the media. We got significant legislation passed that would help fraud investigators do their job, and the public tolerance for insurance fraud dropped from 20 to 4% in just 5 years. We had to go to the CEOs on an annual basis to get funding, and the plan was that the Fraud Coalition was going to only last for 3 years, and in the end it ended up lasting 8 years. That's because the CEOs continued to come back and say to us, keep doing what you're doing, we love it. So that's something I'm particularly proud of. You asked about crisis communications. I think successful crisis communications has a few common elements. Planning, bringing the right people in to create the key messages, identifying the right audiences, and timing and delivery of the message, and of course monitoring the crisis. Over the years, I've dealt with a number of different communications crises. A few that come to mind are in New Brunswick, the government threatened to take over our auto insurance, to nationalize auto insurance, and this would have meant that the insurance industry lost about $500 million worth of business. The other issue was insurance company profits. At one point, insurance companies were quite successful, and the profit announcement was going to be made, and we anticipated a backlash, and so worked on changing the dialogue about insurance company profits. And of course, over the years, I've had to deal with a few gotcha media type journalist interventions, which was quite a challenge. You asked about compensation finally, and right now I'm open and flexible. I'd like to know more about the job, and I'd like you to know more about me, but I know the salary range outlined in the job description seemed fair and reasonable to me. So that's it for me from Toronto. It's Ann Walker, and I'm really looking forward to the next step in the hiring process. Bye for now.